Welcome to Wildspire. You get to be a fly on the wall for my intimate conversations with entrepreneurs who are changing the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Benedetto, coach, storyteller, and unmarketer at The Awakened Business, helping coaches and change-making entrepreneurs unleash their inspired message and share it with playful unmarketing. I'll ask curious questions and explore uncharted waters with my guest today. Anything can happen when we step into the unknown of infinite creativity, and that's where we're going to play. My guests today are Mary and Gary O'Brien. I met them a couple years ago and was immediately struck by their sense of humor, their playfulness, especially because they are spiritual teachers. I love bringing that into this arena. We talk about self-love and worthiness and definitely have some good laughs, a little bit at my expense in the best possible way. Mary and Gary O'Brien are experienced wholeness mindset coaches from Australia who share powerful information and techniques to show people how to let go of the programming of the taught self and live a life that lights them up. They lead a vibrant global community of people of all ages and from all walks of life who are committed to taking their spiritual wisdom off their mats and into their lives and to expanding the frequency of love, compassion, and connection across the planet. In 2008, they were contacted by a spirit guide named Czar, who asked them to share simple and joyful practices to live life unburdened by past experiences and to move into a living as the true light and knowing of all that we truly are. They have spoken at TEDx, at the Edgar Cayce Center in New York City, the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, and many other venues throughout the USA, Europe, and Australasia, and are featured in the documentary They Call Us Channelers. In December 2012, they were key speakers and facilitators at the First World Parliament on Spirituality in India, an event endorsed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Mary and Gary weave together an engaging mix of profound wisdom and playfulness that makes the information easy to understand and use so that you can deepen your connection to your light and your beauty that is ready and waiting for you. So if that sounds good to you, you'll be pleased to meet Mary and Gary. Hi, Mary and Gary. I'm so excited to have you here today with me on my Wildspire podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Fabulous to be
here.
So I want to ask you, because it's so prominent behind you, and I'll describe it for anyone who's listening and not seeing, like, what does this mean behind you, the Saffron Heart? And I see, like, it looks like a map of the world kind of behind it. Like, what is this? But it's heart-shaped, sort of. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah. So the Saffron Heart represents an energy, a frequency that we work with. So we call it personal development work with a spiritual twist. So the spiritual twist is that we bring in frequencies and energies, and the Saffron Heart is the frequency that is our enlightenment. It's that part of us that is eternal, that when we connect in with it, we can get more quickly past all the restrictions of who we've been taught to be and connect into who we truly are. So it's often an entry point when we're working with people for them to shift and change. So it's kind of infuses everything we do.
I love that. And I don't know why I was just moved to ask you about it, but it's an evocative image because, and again, I'm describing it. If you're watching the video, you can see it behind them, but because it's kind of like the world coming together in this beautiful orange yellow color that is saffron. I like a saffron, and it's in the shape of coming together in a heart. And I love hearing that, like a return, a reminder to what we truly are instead of what we think we are, what we've been told we are. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And the colours in it are intentionally not, it's not a solid colour, and you're right, it is a map of the world. But the reason there's the different tones in it is because when we connect into our Saffron Heart and into who we truly are, and we live authentically from that space, it's not a McDonald's approach. There's diversity and uniqueness, but with that commonality. So it speaks to lots of aspects of it in that visual.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm sort of fascinated by this, the paradox or the play of being human of being this expression of the universe. And then here's this uniqueness. Here are the different flavors, the different flavors of the universe, or God, if you will, the Mary flavor and Gary flavor and Stephanie flavor and all of these. That's lovely. Cool.
Yeah. And it is fascinating too, I reckon, Steph, is like the Saffron Heart, people that haven't heard about it before, when you mention it and then you just say do a little really simple little meditation or get them to feel it, it's there. It's the strangest thing in a way, it's never been there before in your thinking, and yet it's there. And then when they feel it, there's a real sense of peace and compassion and just, and it becomes a really creative space and a peaceful space. It's
and it's familiar, as you were saying. It's that remembering, Steph. There's a familiarity, I think, which people kind of can drop into.
Can we, since you mentioned a meditation, Gary, can we do it now? Would it be okay if we did just a little mini meditation on the Saffron Heart?
Yeah, absolutely.
We could.
Absolutely.
Well, you want to do this?
I don't mind. Do you want to? I typically do them, but do you want to do it? I'm happy either way.
No, you go and do it.
Okay.
Yeah. She's got the saffron on really in a way today. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we can do it. So if people are listening, Steph, they can, if they're comfortable, to close their eyes. It just helps to remove distraction. But the beautiful thing with the Saffron Heart frequency is, as you start to play with it and you get to know it, and also it kind of gets to know you, it's something you can tap into as an overnight meditation as well. So it's got that nice flexibility. But to get started, remove the distraction. So if everyone just, when you're comfortable, close your eyes and take a couple of really gentle, settling breaths. Just allow your thinking mind to do whatever your thinking mind is doing. But with each breath, notice that you settle and drop little by little into your heart space. And it can be helpful just to place your hand on that energetic heart area, the center of your chest, just to help that focus, that connection with the physical and the energy coming together. With the next breath in, and you drop into that heart, just visualize or see or feel the color saffron, a goldy, orangey play of beauty. And as you feel it, just notice the softness, but also there's a strength, a gentle strength as part of that. And with each breath, you feel it more clearly. And you notice that it starts to infuse and flow out from your energetic heart into your physical body. Just infusing into the organs, the cells, energizing the physical with the true essence of your enlightenment. And however it feels is however it feels in this moment. And it's perfect. It may be clear. It may be faint. And it's always there. And as you feel it, just feel a smile in your heart. A gentle smile of recognition, of greeting. As you say to yourself, yes, here I am. This is who I truly am. And feel that place that you can return to at any moment because who you are, your true enlightenment never leaves. It always is. And when you're ready, just bring your awareness back to the present moment. And you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Mary.
You're very welcome.
That was lovely. I love that. I think this is a perfect introduction to the two of you, actually, because that's really what you're up to. Helping people to come home to themselves, reawaken and live from themselves, like what they really are. And I love that. And I love the playful exploring that I know you do. We've known each other probably a couple of years now. And I've seen you continuing to grow and change in all that time, exploring and evolving and bringing new things to your community. And it's lovely. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank
you. So when we had chatted a bit about what we might talk about today, one of the things that you brought up, and I can't remember if I heard it from you or if I heard it around the same time as you. It may very well have been from you, but the statement that, this is how I heard the statement, which is kind of deliberately provocative. You don't deserve anything, but you are worthy of everything. And tell me what that says, what that means to you, like what comes up for you around that.
It is one of those things that people get thrown back in their seat. What do you mean I don't deserve anything? I've worked so hard, I've slaved, I've given so much, I've done so much for the community. I deserve to get what's mine. And there it is right there. That whole energy of I deserve it because of all that I've endured and struggled through and pushed through and given and blah, blah, blah. And that whole energy is really an energy that can pull you down, because that energy of deserving is, well, if I do this, then you have to do this for me. It's a bit of a slippery energy, as opposed to, and many times we get people to say, I deserve, and then I am worthy of. Worthy of is like opening a Christmas present. It's like, woohoo, I got the whole thing here right now. I've received something. I've been given something because of who I am. That's that energy of worthiness. It's energy reflecting energy, and it's you just sharing you and receiving because of you. That's, to me, the energy of worthiness, and it takes that duplicity out of it. It takes that, well, if I do this, then you'll do this sort of thing out of it.
Which it's a transactional.
Transactional, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, transactional, yeah. So it's and worthiness has a feeling to it. It has a sense of a whole self connected to it. And it's, I can share with you without any need or want from anything or for anything from you, just because. Yeah, so I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. And it does, I liked the provocativeness of it.
Yeah.
because it does kind of interrupt the pattern a bit. Like, what do you mean? And when I sat with it, the deservingness, it really started to occur to me that there's all of this lack in deserving.
Yeah.
Like it comes from a lack energy is how it feels to me. An entitlement that's born out of not enough, don't have, need more, need something, need of something that is not being satisfied, versus you are worthy of everything is like inherent within you, innate.
Yes.
You are, you have, it's already here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you feel it, you can feel the different frequencies. And because we are energy first, then of course the frequency does matter. It's not, some people might go, oh, it's just semantics. I mean that. But in fact, there's so much more. Deserving really puts the power outside of us. And we're taught, it's the, I remember growing up Catholic with a name like Mary O'Brien, clearly, growing up Catholic, and it was all about if I'm a good girl and if I say my prayers and if I go to Mass and do all that, then I get the reward. And so that's how society works. That's how we're taught. The tricky part, of course, of that is it's very much conditional on us, either us deciding, but most likely other people deciding that we've done enough to get whatever it is we want. And the goalposts always shift and change.
Yes.
And as humans, 70% of most humans' thinking is negative and past referenced and on repeat. So we're really good at working hard to get the thing that we think we deserve and that we want. And then just as we get to it, we pull the rug out from under us, go, oh no, not so fast. Hang on. You haven't quite been. Did you meditate every day this month? I don't think so. So we're really good at pulling it out from under us. Whereas, as you were saying, Gaz, the worthiness, it is our inherent state of being because we are creation. We are spirit, we are the divine, we are the gods in physical form. So if that is who we are, which it is, that's our Saffron Heart, it's who we are, how could we be anything but worthy of all the joy and beauty in life that is a match for that? There's nothing to be done. It's about us when we accept who we are, then life becomes a reflection of that.
I love that. How could we be anything but worthy?
Yeah.
Just what is life when we come from that place?
It's hugely different, isn't it?
So full and so rich. And what I want to ask you is that this isn't something to convince myself of or get myself to believe, right? Like it doesn't work. I can't fake my way into it. So what is it that really helps me or someone else to see when I'm caught up in this thinking, this training that I've had in the world that I need to do something to be worthy. I need to earn it. I need to prove my deservingness, right? How do we shift this? Like, what are you seeing in that helps people to begin to know their inherent worthiness, their inherent worth?
It's such a good question, Steph, because without this next piece, as you're saying, it's kind of conceptual and you get it and you can feel it, but then what do I do? How do I be this worthiness? And what we've discovered in the people we work with is, and in our own lives too, is that self-love is our worthiness in action. So the way that we feel and accept and embody our worthiness is through self-love actions. And our self-love isn't about, going and getting your nails done necessarily. It's not self-care, which sometimes out there it's kind of getting a bit confused. But self-love, the way that we talk about it, is that, again, that awareness and the acceptance of who we truly are, that we are our soul, that we are spirit in physical form. And when we love ourselves, regardless of what we've done right or wrong, regardless of what we've achieved or not, when we take actions to care for ourselves and be compassionate and kind, then we are embodying our worthiness. And when we feel that, then there's no the push to get the external acknowledgement or to have to prove just dissolves, because it's just not a frequency match. They're two different. It's almost like you're trying to live in two different realities at the same time, and we can't do that. So it just ceases to be part of our part of our reality or part of our energy field to seek deserving when we start acting from a place of self-love.
I want to share with you an experience that I had and see what what you think of it, what comes up for you, because I did an exploration a few years ago. Sometimes I'll do 21 days of reflection on this or that. And I did 21 days of self-love. And as a part of that, every day I would make a little video about self-love and just share something. It was a way for me to reflect on what I was seeing and also share it with other people. And I remember I came across I think it was in my Facebook feed, some kind of exercise that someone said, okay, here's a self-love exercise. Like, oh, that's what I'm about these days. Let's check it out. So I said, go to the bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror and love yourself. Love what you see. And I stood in front of the mirror and I looked at myself and I was like, no, I don't have it. I'm not feeling love for myself. I'm failing. And I went into a whole spiral of, oh God, maybe I've never accepted myself. I've never loved myself. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And I picked up my phone because I was about to make a video on this and I was just going to be transparent and say, okay, this is my experience. I'm not feeling it. And I'm trying. And as I was picking up the phone, it occurred to me, I went, oh, I'm not feeling self-love because I'm thinking about not feeling self-love. I'm thinking about it. I'm feeling what I'm thinking. I'm not feeling so. And I went, oh shit. and right in that moment, it's almost real time. I made a video of it right afterward. What I saw, and this is what I saw in the moment, was that when I make it a thing, and I see other people do this too, like I have to love myself, but it's almost like trying to convince myself that it's not, it doesn't feel like it's coming from home. Like it's trying to slap a Band-Aid on. Like I'm being nice to me. And it feels fake and it doesn't feel like love. But when I stop thinking about it and I just show up with myself and I show up in the moment, which is most of the time when I'm not thinking about it, right? All the times when I'm not thinking about how, am I lovable? Am I loving myself? Am I doing a good job of loving myself? It just is kind of happening.
Yeah.
And that was reassuring, almost like, oh, my natural state is loving myself. And it's only when I get caught up in thinking about the past, about the made up future that I'm scared of or something, that I'm not doing that I'm not being, it's still there.
Yes.
And it was big for me because it seemed to me like, oh, this isn't something I have to work on anymore. So like, what does that bring up for you? And have you experienced something like that, or I'm curious?
It's the thing I love with it is that when as you said, when you think about it and you try, it's hard to feel self-love because what we do is we go back into all of our taught self critiquing, judging, assessing, comparing, all of the, what we call the judgy-budgy identity, which is all about what's not right. It's very hard to feel it. But when you just say, yeah, okay, so that's just my taught self having a little moment there. But who I truly am is love. So how could I not be self-lovable? And if you think about little kids, they don't have to try to love themselves. It's inherent within us, like it's like our worthiness. And kids will take action that are in alignment with them loving themselves. They'll get their needs met. They'll do the things that make them feel good until we get to a point where we're taught that that's selfish or that's not right, that you need to put everybody else first. All of the indoctrination kicks in. But when we can step outside of that and come back to who we truly are, then, so for me this morning, my self-love was, it's really busy. We knew we were catching up with you. And I thought, I'm ready for a walk in the sunshine. Now, I could have said no and sat at my desk for that extra 45 minutes, but I said, no, that's what is going to nurture, and that's allowing me to feel who I truly am. And so you're right, the self-love and the worthiness is always there. What we do is we create practices and we interrupt our thinking to feel what already is. We take action to embody what already is. So, yeah, it's a beautiful awareness, and it's the thinking that gets in the way. It's a pesky thinking.
Yeah. there was we had friends over on Saturday night, and there was a little girl as part of the group, and she's 6 or 7? Seven, just 7. And we're all sitting up and in the studio, and we're having a drink and looking at the view, and she sort of interrupted and said, "Right, I'm going to tell you a story about myself." Right? And there was no hesitation, because I'm really important and I'm fantastic, and I'm going to tell you a story about myself. And so then she launched into this story, and it was actually really good. You could see her mind ticking away. But there was just this sense of herself and her feeling for herself. And she told the story, and then everyone clapped and said, "Yes, you've done a good job." And she did, actually. She did a really good job. But she was so, she hasn't been taught out of that sense of who she is.
And to self-edit.
Now, you could have other adults that would then go, "No, look, you're interrupting the big people talking," and they would have shut her down. But everyone there was not like that, and it was such an enjoyable little story she made up, and it was about a real event that happened. But she didn't hesitate, and I think that's the thing, that the key that you were sharing, Mary, is that we get taught out of our love for self, that playfulness, that lightness of being a child. And then when you stood in the mirror, there was, I feel we're always existing in a duality. There's that sense of you that had the momentum, something somewhere told you, "I'm going to start self-love. I'm curious to do 21 days of self-love." Something told you to do that. Your thinking self would have gone, potentially, "What's she going on about? Come on, she's dreaming." No. But your true self, your whole self started, got your attention, and you started this. And then your thinking caught up to you and said, "Oh, no." Computer says no, a little bit sad. That's not who you are. It's that's the duality. We've been taught out of the beauty of who we are because we have to conform and socialize and everything else. And more people are coming back to that true self, to that whole human that is here, that is worthy. And then that you are, because it's a part of your reflection.
And it's that, because you'd been doing the other stuff too, Steph, I bet that was why, when almost the dissonance you felt between the self-love you'd been feeling and experiencing, and then your thinky self coming in and kind of trying to throw a spanner in the works, because of what you've been doing, you had enough of that knowing to go,
yes,
and discount it. So it's always, we always have a choice. It's that we create more choices about loving ourselves or not, about making worthy choices or not. It's a practice. It's like everything, really. It's a practice to be more of who we truly are.
It seems to me more and more that the less I am thinking about myself, my little self, the more I have an experience of love. And it doesn't even feel like self-love. It just feels like love, like who? Oh, you mean this? Oh yeah, this is just what's happening, isn't it cool? And I love that image of a small child standing up saying, "I want to tell you a story about myself."
Yes.
It reminds me of, this is going to be funny, and it's a good thing my partner doesn't listen to my podcast, because I'm going to tell a story about him. But he has this way of, sometimes when he starts talking about something, he really needs to finish it. He's very excited about whatever it is he's sharing. And he tends sometimes not to notice if other people's attention is drifting or whatever. And it's just a little quirk, but it's, you could say missing social cues, whatever, but I think it's pretty damn cute. So this happened. He launched into a story about his challenges around a flight that he took, and things were delayed and what was happening, and went into minute detail about the other little pieces. Yes. And I could see the people that I was talking to kind of going, and I just thought it was adorable. There was something about it. I knew that there's a social convention that, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're not supposed to talk about something that's boring, obviously, to someone else. Like, they're not interested in it. Like, that's just not. And I was like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let him express himself in this moment. And isn't it freaking cute?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that he was dominating everything. It was just this beautiful, like, there's a way in which, like, what if we just express when there's something in us to express? And then we slow down and we quiet when it's not there. Like, we still, and there's like a rhythm. I think when we are in that place of love, it happens. Like, we can feel that. I think of it in a group. I've seen this in a group when people become still, when they get quiet, when they're in touch with the Saffron Heart, right? When they're in touch with their true selves. There's no more need to, I have to speak up and be seen. I need to speak more, or no, I can't say that. And it becomes like a group genius. Like, if we're talking about something, if I happen to be facilitating, it doesn't necessarily come through me. Like, the wisdom, whatever's happening, it might come through me, but it might come through someone else. And it's like each person steps up. It's like waves. And then they step back and they step up and they step back. It's like we all get to be used in a beautiful way by the universe when we are in that place. And that was a lot of words, but like, what did you hear that was interesting? Hopefully something was in that. Or you're both like, that's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Is she gonna stop soon?
No, I think you demonstrated it beautifully.
Yeah. And you guys are perfect together. No.
And if it was, that would, like, really in this moment, that feels totally okay to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what's so gorgeous in that is that when we love ourselves and we allow ourselves to express, as you're saying, we therefore, and it takes away that need to control and prove and show up and fit, all of the kind of the social stuff isn't required, because we're not looking for outside for anything. And what that then also allows is, as you talked about that beautiful ebb and flow, from a place of our own self-love, you can't help but see and feel the love for others. And so you allow them that space to do them the way that they do them. So rather than it being creating a lot of judgment and expectation about how we should be being and what people, what's appropriate behavior or not, we just go, okay, that's how they do them. And I know who they are. I know that they're whole. I know that they've got a saffron heart, that they are creation in their particular physical form and expression. And you celebrate that. Takes the control out, and it starts with loving ourselves, because that creates that open, beautiful and generous space to allow others to be loving of themselves as well.
Yeah.
And it is a real saffron heart energy, that sense of compassion and strength. And the very fact of you sharing that story with us has so much meaning. That you're sharing something with us, and that we can be a part of your world for that moment. And it's a really wonderful thing. And it's funny, and it's also, there's so much information and playfulness and light. Yes, it's real.
Really authentic.
And I think sometimes, there's this, well, come on, you better hurry up, because my whole life is you better hurry up moments, rather than that beautiful space of that sharing, which, who knows when we'll get the chance to share like that again. It's just priceless. It's not a hurry up moment. It's a saffron heart moment right there. So that was perfect.
It seems that when I show up with what is, without needing it to be different, love is what's there. Appreciation is what's there. Beauty is what's there. Perfection is what I see. And I can pop out of it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
But when I'm with it in those moments, it's just like, how could this not be perfect? How could this not be worthy? How could this not be beautiful? And it's a beautiful thing that I know that that's available, and I don't think everyone does.
No,
No.
I think you're right, because I think so many people, well, we all are taught what's right and what's wrong in terms of how we should behave, and particularly around self-love, there's so much judgment and it's selfish, it's not right, you shouldn't do it. And particularly for women, I think there's a whole other social overlay of you should be nurturing and making sure everyone else is okay first. But the downside, of course, of that is that if we're so busy making sure everyone else is okay and giving and not giving anything to ourselves, as we say, you can't share from an empty cup. The energy of what you share, you might be doing all the things, but the frequency of you that's in it is a depleted, frazzled, incomplete energy. And because we're energy beings, we get not just the action, we whether we're aware of it or not, we're also receiving and feeling the frequency with which the action is done and given. And so unintentionally, we end up selling those people that we care about so much, that we're doing so much for, we end up selling them short because we're not giving them all that we really want to. And so it's that taking time to say, okay, what are the simple things for me to, just in a minute a day, even take time to come back to feeling who I am, because that's really all self-love is. It doesn't have to be a doing, it's a feeling of that and accepting it. That's plugging back into source. That's the biggest battery charge there is. We don't need to go for walks. That's all lovely. But remembering who we are and feeling that, giving ourselves that space to be with that, that's life-changing for us. And then that has what we talk about as the Saffron Heart ripple effect out into the world around us of those that we love and care for most.
So that could be just as simple as like that little meditation, or even not even a full meditation, but just a moment of, being with the true self. I mean, once I know where that is, that's inside, and that it's like, it's not even a place I go. It's like, if I quiet, there it is. If I quiet,
yes.
All I have to do is just be quiet, out of the busy mind. And I could have a busy mind and still know that that's there. Like having a feel for it. That's cool. I want to ask you something. I want to ask you two something that I'm kind of sitting with for myself. Is that okay? This is very selfish.
Yeah,
I'm making this all about me, this whole thing. So what I've realized is that, like many people, I grew up with a Stephanie, you're too much, tone it down, you're too intense kind of thing. And what I've recognized is that there is a truth with a capital T that I am seeing. There is a truth with a capital T that I am standing in, and that is, my true self, our true self. And I have been sometimes holding back from really pointing to it powerfully, because I had this misunderstanding of I'm not supposed to tell somehow it's telling people what's true for them, and like I'm imposing that on them, and it's not allowed. And obviously it's not like I'm going to, the cashier at the grocery store or, someone at the bar, I'm just going to go up and go, this is the truth and you need to see it. But, but I'm a coach. And have relationships with people in which they are asking me to help them clarify and touch that truth. Like, it's actually what creates great impact. And if I hold back there, it does not do them a service. So I'm just kind of curious about that, because I've been noticing it. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, it makes sense why I would hold back. I mean, I can tell lots of stories from childhood or whatever, but who cares? Right now, that's not true. But there's a way of, like, simply speaking to the truth is not telling anyone how to live their life. It's saying, hey, this is what you truly are. This is what we truly are. This is how it works. What you do with it, totally up to you. And I'm seeing that, but it's like, I'm like, what could I see that will help me drop the rest of that crap? Because I I see how powerful it is when you stand in truth and speak from it. It's neither too loud or too soft. It's just exactly what's called for. And being aware, if I was ever too much, I'll notice it and tone down and soften or whatever's necessary.
There's so much in that, Steph. And I think, the thing is, you're aware of the old thinky taught self that's still playing a bit of that old story. And so with that awareness, you have that powerful moment. You create that space to choose. So you go, okay. And we talk a lot about snakes and ladders, or, I think in the US you call them chutes and ladders. In Australia, of course, it's all about snakes. So, that when you're in that space and you're sharing, and then that little voice or that sense of maybe I've gone too far, or maybe I shouldn't have, that's just a slippery snake of doubt. It's an old taught self pattern that has the potential, if you listen to it and follow it, of taking you down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. So once you know it, you can go, okay, I can see that now. What do I choose instead? And the choice is, as you know, to come back to, well, for you, actually, I think it's about that affirming your great skill in reading energy and being guided by the energy of a conversation, which is what we've experienced with you over the time we've known you. And knowing that it's kind of affirming to yourself that you're not going to go off on a tangent or push too hard. That's just not who you are. And if you did, okay, we all kind of misjudge, and you would just catch it and say, oh, sorry, hang on, let me just pull back there for a minute. So just the awareness of the duality is all that's needed. Because in the awareness, you get to choose. You interrupt the old pattern. And in that space of interruption, we've got a new friend that we play with called IDA. And IDA stands for interrupt, decide, and act. So you interrupt the old, I better hold back. You decide what are you going to believe? Which self are you going to listen to? And then based on that decision, well, I'm going to listen to my true self, clearly, because she's so much more fun and offers so much more to me and to everyone else. What's the action you take? I continue the conversation.
Yeah. It's interesting because, it's sort of like I can feel this. I can feel the direction I'm looking in to see whatever it is that I need to see that lets this be obvious. That sounds very strange, but when something is obvious, I don't even need to think about it anymore. It's obvious. It's like, oh, the sun is out. The sun does this. It's warm in the sun. If I walk in the sun, I will be warm. It's duh. It's so obvious. Like, what would it take? And I'm asking this question for me, but it's not just for me. It's for all of us, like what would it take for me to just show up in the truth of myself and let that be what it is,
So, okay. Can I ask you then a question?
Yeah, do.
So can you remember the little girl that was so full of joy and fun and wanting to play? And can you
I'm still that person. Are you kidding?
Exactly. You're still that person. Now, see, I'm really curious. Why? You were told by your parents, I'm doing this purposefully. You were told, the naughty finger. You were told, come on now, don't be that, don't be this, sit in this box, be seen, not heard. But you're still that person. Oh, you just don't listen, do you? How can you? So how come?
I'll leave you for that.
Yeah. How come you're still that person? You're asking us, how do I get there? How do I talk? You didn't go anywhere, did you? Did you leave you at the baggage claim or something at the airport when you flew down there? How come you're still here? How come this you that is so full of beans, as we'd say, and so full of life and joy, and your smile lights up a room, how come she is still talking to us right now and you're asking us, now, how do I get back there? Taught self. doubting you. Whole true self, she's going, woohoo, it's partying time. Partying here. Isn't it really?
Yeah.
Like, what I hear in that is it's so funny. And this is the obviousness of it. It's like, how could you not be you? You've always been you.
Yeah.
all the stuff that you think, all the stuff that's thinking about not being you, that's the made up thing. That's the thing. And that doesn't exist. It's smoke and mirrors. It's like, it's not there. What you are is always there. And there's not even anything to come back to, right? Like, there it is. It's there.
Gone. Yeah.
Just stop doing the other thing.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, Steph, as you said, sometimes it's so obvious and other times it's not, then it's just not obvious in that moment, but it will be. Maybe because the timing will be, or there's a piece of the person hasn't said that next piece where the jigsaw locks together and you go, that's what we're talking about. So kind of almost widening back and allowing the space for things to unfold, rather than it's only a doubt. It's a taught self-doubt that goes, I haven't got all the pieces and I'm missing the obviousness. You'll have so much proof for all the times you've nailed it and you've known, and when it's obvious and it's the right thing to say, you've had it there. It's been at your fingertips. That's not changing. It's hilarious, isn't it? Our taught self is just so, it goes on such a merry jig with us until we catch it and we go, just stop dancing. No one wants to pay attention to you. And what we end up doing is we bring our thinking, because it's only our taught thinking, we start to bring our thinking in line with our knowing, with who we truly are. And so it's not that thinking's bad, it's just that it's been informed by outdated stories. We're re-educating our thinking so that we live in that alignment of the true self, our thinking and our energy and our knowing all collaborating together.
I imagine, and I've heard the thing about peeling the onion, but when you peel the onion, there's nothing left in the middle of it, right? You've peeled the whole thing and there's nothing there. I don't know why you want to do that. But if I think about about us as where, there's this incredible little energy in here. And then during this taught journey, we keep getting these big cloaks and coats put over us, and, more and more coats of don't do this, don't do that, conform to this, be that. And it gets more and more and more and more. And, they've got hoods and everything on them. And you can't even see, you look like the person on South Park, little Kenny or whatever. You just got these eyes here, right? It's all I can see of you. And you can't even talk. You're so enclosed in everything of the taught self. But in there, there's still you wanting to play. And so what we're doing really is taking off all this armor and stuff that's been thrown on you that isn't you off, so that, that's right, because you've been talking to you forever underneath all these layers of stuff. And now, the more you reveal, the more you can hear, the more you are. And it's an exquisite journey. We've worked with so many people now that you slowly undress them.
Yep, it's that kind of an organization.
No, but it's, you're taking off all that baggage of them, and they feel so light.
Well, they take it off themselves.
Well, they do. That's true. Yes,
it's with every choice that we make where we say, I'm going to come back to feeling my true self. I'm going to choose to love myself. Every decision and choice to feel our worthiness removes a piece of that clothing, removes a layer of we've been separating ourselves through. And so it happens at such a gentle pace. It's not a big reveal because then we wouldn't know who we were, and nobody else would. We definitely scare the children. But it's just that choice by choice we show up as who we've always been, and we light up our lives, and we show others that it's okay for them to make those same choices and to live a life that lights them up as well, for them to be living as who they truly are. We become those just through us being who we are, allows other people to make those choices as well.
Yeah. I love seeing that, and I've said this for a while, but I continue to get this in deeper ways, that our greatest gift for the world is to, live from our joy, our joy, be that joy, be that relentless expression of ourself. And that doesn't look like, to me, as I see it, when it comes from love, it doesn't look like selfishness and only thinking about the self, because our true self is connected with everything else, knows that connection. And it's obvious that we would consider, like, I'm actually more likely to think about, without a sense of that deservingness, or I better get, I'm giving to get, I'm more likely to be kind to others, to take care of my environment, to think about the consequences of my actions and how they affect other people and things now than I was before, when I was so wrapped up in doing it right.
Yeah. Because we feel the connection, as you said. It's, there's no separation when we come from that place of love and self-love. Then we are tapping into creation, and creation is everything. It is all that is. And so we cease to feel isolated and separated and protective, and we recognize the sameness within all. And our natural love means that we want to care for and enable and allow everything to blossom as well as us.
Yeah. When my needs are met, there's no need for me to feel lack and scarcity and hold back and be afraid when I know my needs are met. Yeah. That's beautiful.
There was something it's just popped into my mind, and it was sort of the early days of COVID. And it was either Italy or Spain, one of those things, and everyone was locked in their apartments, and it had been going on for a while. And of course, everyone locked in their apartments, to me, it's like people's normal day-to-days. They're all stuck in their little shells and living within their own thinking and so on. And then there were a couple of singers, opera singers, who came out on the balcony and started to share. And then all the doors opened up, all the windows opened up, and people came out, and they did it not only for themselves, but they also did it for everyone else, because they felt what it was like to be enclosed. And they started to sing and share of themselves for everyone else and for themselves, and everyone benefited. And I bet everyone slept really well that night, because it was like the world is still here. But, when you live like this, you can't see. And there's so much out there, like, it's just extraordinary. And it's like you were sharing, people tell you, don't do this, don't do that. But out there, you just want to sing. And that's love for self. That is who you are. Imagine sharing that with the world. Who wouldn't want that, right? It's exquisite.
I want that from others, I love seeing it. I love seeing people just being them. Because when they're lit up, it lights me up. It's contagious, and it's lovely to see. So cool. So tell me, I'm curious, like, what's the most inspiring or exciting thing that you're up to these days? And it might be like a personal exploration or something inside of your business or community. Like, it could be your garden. I don't care what it is. Anything is game.
It could be all of those, actually, because we're building a house, and I've got a big veggie garden that's had we've got a big makeover, and I was up there this morning talking to all the veggies and harvesting the beans and things, and so that's pretty exciting. That's definitely my happy place in the garden. And really, I think the work that we're doing in this in the Ascension Academy is we're finding it
it's amazing.
Exciting and amazing, because we're seeing the transformation of the people that we work with over an 8-week period. And it all comes back to loving yourself, being able to really consistently choose the true self over the taught self, and all of the different processes and tools and things that we have. But it's exciting because we're It feels like what we do in that space, Steph, is we offer a choice. And people can say, yep, I want to do it this way or I want to do it that. So they're doing it in their own way, but they know how they're creating the change. So some of the work we used to do, which is also really powerful, because it was more based around the energy. Now we've got the energy as the, as the kind of the magical twist. It's the garnish, if you like, on the martini. People know what to do to replicate the change and to keep going deeper and to keep expanding. And so that's what's been so exciting. People really stepping into their own ability to craft their lives and to choose, okay, that's old story stuff. Not interested in going there. Don't need to unpack it to work out why. I just know it's not a match with how I want to move forward. And so I'm going to choose here instead. It's an Ida moment, interrupt, decide, act. Here I go. And it's just so exciting feeling what people are experiencing and the changes. It's funny, we've got quite a few Buddhists in through the content, and they're finding it really powerful because they had it all conceptually. They knew about their Buddha nature. But one of the women who's been a practicing Buddhist for 30 years, she said, I knew about my Buddha nature or my Buddha nature. She said, but I never felt it until the Ascension Academy.
Wow.
I didn't know what it felt like and how to live as it. And so it's almost that all the pieces people have had, kind of floating at this conceptual level, it's landing and they're living and being it. So that's exciting because we're here to live and be. And so anything that allows that is, it's pretty magical.
Yeah, it is. It's extraordinary. And people share, and somebody shares something that's happening with them, or that's happened to them during the week, and how they found their way out of it with something they've just understood and learned, like really quite quickly, which has been quite fantastic. And then someone else go, oh yeah, well I had something like this and this happened. And so there's number one, there's an incredible community that you can just come in and share, and there's so much support. There's the space of the excitement of seeing people change in the moment, and then how that change is then reflected in their relationships back home has been amazing, with their children, with their fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, whatever it is. You can see
that ripple effect.
And they're not trying, it's just, I just did this because the momentum, the feeling, the energy was there, and it comes out, and there's an awareness of what they're saying as they're saying it. And it's just, it's something you want to rock up for every week, because it's like, woohoo, what's going to happen this week? He's going to have this. There's always a sharing. It's amazing.
Yeah, we've got people from Europe that have joined, and they're getting up consistently at 1:30 in the morning to come on the calls live.
Holy cow.
Gee, I don't think I'd be that keen.
Yeah.
So we figure there's something exciting going on if people are doing that.
And they're there for an hour and a half at 1:30 in the morning. I'm thinking, really my goodness, how do you do that? Yeah. But I'm so glad they're there and they're sharing and having amazing results. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing it. There is something really amazing about being around that spark of insight when people are lit up and turned on to something new that they're creating. They're actively living and creating their lives. It's such a beautiful thing to be around. So the game of transformation is so damn fun.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Particularly if you don't have to be going back and, delving and dredging through the past and, dealing with, just go, okay, so now what? How do we keep moving? We're not denying what is, but we're saying everything's in this present moment. So if you shift to your own this present moment, that's, it's the backwards ripple effect really that changes that as well. So it makes it so much fun.
Yeah, past. Who needs it?
Yeah. That's it. So yesterday.
So over. So done.
Yeah, that's it. Talk to the hand.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so very much for joining me and sharing your inspirations and the Saffron Heart energy. I really do appreciate it so much. So tell me, if people want to learn more about what you're up to, find out about the Ascension Academy and the Saffron Heart, where can they go to find you?
Well, the website's possibly the easiest place. So it's saffronheart.world. And on that, they can download our self-love minutes guide, which is a really a powerful practice where it does only take a minute a day, though you can do longer. You know, we don't say you can't do more, but in only a minute a day.
Only love yourself for a minute. That's it.
That's
then
right.
You're cut off.
That's the time. Go back to normal.
Self-destruct.
Yeah, they're self-destruct. But it's been so interesting. People that have, and it's what I use, and people that use it and they go, I didn't think it'd make any difference, but actually it really does, because it's as much about what we do in that minute, you know, whether it is standing outside and looking at the flowers or listening to the birds or whatever it may be. It's as much about that as it is about having made the decision and the commitment to ourselves to take an action that is based on self-love. And so we're learning a new way of being, but it's so delicious. So that's why the people then go, oh, I might just sneak in another minute if no one's looking, you know. So people can download that and play with that. And we open the academy. We've done 3 academies this year. We'll be opening again sometime in January, so they can add their name to our VIP list and we can keep them in the loop, because, we just, as you can tell, we love it. It lights us up, and we love seeing how it's lighting other people up as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure connecting with you once again.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's Wildspire conversation. If you'd like to receive a weekly Wildspire email from me filled with inspiring stories, unmarketing experiments, tips for playing your way to impact and income without the hustle and hype, insights from my spiritual business journey, and more, go to theawakenedbusiness.com/wildspire. Until next time, may you know yourself as the gorgeous wild creation you are.